Hey everyone, welcome to Innovators Powered by Best Buy. This is the show that takes you behind some of the stories of some of your favorite products. I'm Bradley Hasemeyer, and today we're talking about Sonos Ace. Yes, we are some of the very first people to even get our hands on these. It's very exciting. And who better to talk about the innovation within the company than the Director of Innovation, Adib Mehrabi. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Bradley. Glad to be here. How are you doing?
I'm well. Your accent makes you sound like you're from Nebraska, but I could be wrong. Where are you coming from?
Yeah, just a little bit off. I'm in London.
Fantastic. So let's talk about these Sonos Ace headphones. Can you kind of walk me around this? Like we'll take a little bit of a tour. One of the first things that I think people notice out of the box that is very comfortable, the padding up top here, almost kind of like a memory foam type of material, which is nice. I love how they fold in. And I noticed on the outside what I would only assume are microphones for noise canceling. There's kind of like these like dark gray little tiny perforated slits. Is that what that is?
That is what it is. Yeah. So those we call them the meshes that kind of cover the microphones, and
Yep.
they're multifunctional. There's kind of a design aesthetic aspect to those. They're there to kind of enhance the way that the product looks, but they also help mitigate, for example, wind noise. If you're out and about making a call, it helps to kind of mitigate the amount of wind noise and that comes through to the person on the other end. But going around the product, yeah. So we've got a headband, quite a smooth, sleek design there. Very kind of we wanted to create a product that really kind of hugs your head in a way, I guess, right, and doesn't look like that's something that's big and bulky as you're going about your business wearing it. We've got a nice matte finish. I see you've got the black ones there.
Yeah.
We also have a soft white color variant as well. We've got the actual yoke. What we call the yoke on a headphone, on an over-ear headphone, is basically the mechanism that connects the headband to each of the two cups.
Okay, that's this right here.
It's actually the bit below that goes into the cup. So
okay.
on many headphones, there'll be a yoke that's kind of sits external and outside on the cup. You can see it on a lot of other over.
Yeah, it'd be like two wires on the side kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like two arms that kind of sit down there. And we intentionally chose to kind of to encapsulate that in the cup, partly for aesthetic reasons. And there's also, again, there's a functional reason for this. It means you don't get your hair trapped in it or these kinds of things. And it's less susceptible to breakages and getting damaged. Then on the cups, we've got, two cushions, memory foam cushions there. A lot of time was spent getting those the right shape, the right style, and super comfortable. I don't know if you've tried this before, but you can actually pop off the cups there, the cushions.
Are they magnet? Oh yeah, look
at
magnetic.
That. Yeah, it's quite a satisfying feeling. Kind of.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. It's so these are replaceable. Because these are a part of headphones that is prone to wearing out. So we made sure that these were replaceable. We've got the meshes, the kind of grills inside of those cushions as well, that have been meticulously designed to work for a large range of ear shapes and make it such that your ears aren't rubbing up against the inside. So we've got a total of 8 microphones in there. And they're used
for the record, this is one microphone. Inside here are 8. That's innovation. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, right. And they're used for a range of things, right? They're used for telephony, for making calls, and they're used for ANC, and they're used for aware
mode, which
mode.
Is active noise canceling.
That's right. Sorry, active noise cancellation.
Speak to the multifunction buttons, because it's really easy to be like, oh, all you need is a power on, and you're like, well, I kind of want to pause it. I kind of want to be able to skip the track. I want to go the volume up. All of a sudden, you start realizing, oh man, you're going to look like a race car steering wheel with like 1,000 buttons real quick. So how did you decide to kind of integrate all this into just, I don't know, 3 buttons essentially on here?
Yeah, so there was a lot of work that went into kind of coming up with that final design, and it's a trade-off, right? Because on the one hand, there's a lot of things, like you say, that a user wants to be able to do with a headphone. On the other hand, you don't want to turn it into like an airplane cockpit.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, right, really trying to figure out like what are the key things that a user might want to do. So we kind of pulled out the core features there, like play transport, we call transport control. So moving, skipping back to, and forwards between tracks, playing and pausing content, answering telephone calls. And so that, and changing the volume up and down, and those are some of the key bits of functionality on what we call the multifunction button. And then we've got a dedicated ANC button on there, and a power button, which doubles up as a Bluetooth pairing button as well. So those are things that we feel get used very frequently. Powering up and down, and using ANC and aware mode and switching between those. So we wanted to make sure that there were kind of dedicated touch points for those.
Now, will this integrate within that same Wi-Fi mesh network like your speakers would in your house? How are those going to talk to each other, or will this be your just portable version of that?
Right. So Sonos Ace is a Bluetooth headphone, but when you bring it in the home, if you have a Sonos home theater system in your home, we actually have a Bluetooth and a Wi-Fi chip in there, and we can connect to your Sonos soundbar. And so we've got this feature that we call TV audio swap. And once you've set up Sonos Ace, it allows you to seamlessly transition between out loud listening in your home theater system in your home or wherever you are, and listening, having a personal listening experience on headphones. And there are some great use cases for this. You mentioned, as a parent, it could be that the kids are in bed. You need to turn it down, but it doesn't sound how you want it to sound turned down. So you can pull out Sonos Ace, hit what we call, the swap button, and the audio will seamlessly transition between playing out loud and playing out just for you on the headphones.
I think a lot of people know Sonos, right? This is a household name at this point, especially for high-end audio. You guys really carved a great corner in the market for like the connected speaker in the house. It was like, I think you guys did a great job of like, before people even knew that they wanted that, then you showed it and they were like, oh, I don't just want it, I need it. But one thing that blew my mind about Sonos is not only is the name a palindrome, right, forward and backwards, and I discovered this on accident, but the name this way, for those watching, is Sonos. If you flip the box upside down, ta-da, it's still Sonos.
Yeah, it is. And it works really nicely with our speakers as well, which, many of them can be positioned in two orientations. So it means we can kind of position that logo on the speakers, and it just works whichever way you put it.
I love that. I love that. Now, I'm curious about the design of the product. You mentioned this good looking design, not just the innovator who's good looking, or the host, the actual products, even the packaging experience is a whole thing. And I feel like that's been early on. Like day one, Sonos was like, we're making a product in very few colorways. It's going to be very sleek, and that's always been it. So how does design inform your technology and the product itself?
Yeah, it really does in a massive way. I'd say the kind of the types of words that come to mind when I think about our design approach or philosophy is elegance, simplicity, and timelessness, right? And because these are objects that people are putting in their homes, so these need to be objects that kind of persist in their kind of elegance over time, and also that people don't just aren't just happy to put in their homes, but really love placing and showing off and giving pride of place in their homes. So it's really, I would say, about balance, because we've got a lot of technology we pack into products. Obviously, they're audio products, so the acoustics and the way that they sound is a major factor in what we're trying to achieve.
And even the shape, right? Like the shape of a speaker makes a huge difference when we're talking about sound.
It really does. Yeah. The shape, the size, where you put the speakers, within the enclosure, all of these things have a factor. So really trying to find the right balance between our design goals and our sound experience goals, results in kind of where we land with the way our products look.
And you guys were in the home for a long time. Now you're kind of more portable, which leads us into Ace. What you went from like, let's fill your home with music to now like, let's fill your life with it. Like what was the thought there to go portable essentially?
Yeah, so I think there were a few factors that kind of played into that, but it was really kind of looking at again, focusing on the customer and looking at what are the experiences we're creating in the home, and what do people love about those experiences, and then really trying to understand, okay, so we know that sound can show up everywhere in our lives, and it's super important for many people for many different reasons. So we saw a great opportunity to kind of learn from what we've done in the home and the things that people love about the products that we have in the home, and then bring that to other aspects of their lives, whether that's on the patio having a barbecue, or by the pool, or even going to the beach or trekking up a mountain. You can now take that that sound experience that we provide, and take it with you wherever you go. So that was the real kind of motivation for going into the kind of portable loudspeaker category.
So how did you go about product testing this? I mean, was it just like we got 30 people in a room and we said what works, or did you just have kids throwing these down and like, well, that broke, so let's try this again? How did you figure out to get to where we are today?
Yeah, there's quite a few aspects to how we kind of test the product as we go through it. And, at each stage, we'll be developing hardware and software prototypes and testing things out, and then putting that through various different types of tests, and then iterating and making improvements until we get to a point where we think like, yeah, we got it. This is good. Let's go. And the types of, I'd say the kind of different types of testing we do a lot of hardware verification testing. So each time we build a hardware prototype, we'll really put it through the ringer. We'll do drop testing, oven testing.
Wait, oven testing? What is that? In case someone's headphones fall off when they're baking cookies?
Where you put them in an oven, you bake it up, and you make sure that it's not gonna, that it's gonna perform at a high temperature that we need it to be able to operate at. We drop these things in various ways and from various distances, and probably no surprise, as an audio company, we do a lot of listening testing, and that's a big one for me, and for the work that my team does. We go through many rounds. In developing Sonos Ace, I think we've done over 1,000 hours of listening to develop this, to finally land on the way that this product sounds.
That's not even design. That's just how it sounds. That's just the speakers. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. And we work with something that we call the Soundboard, which is a group of content creators, music audio engineers and artists and film mixers that we work with. And we kind of get iterative. We have various stages of working with them to get feedback, make adjustments, and continuously improve the way that it sounds. So yeah, I would say there's the hardware side, there's the user research and the software development side, and then there's listening, which is a huge one.
I'm excited to say that I was one of the first. I'm an early adopter, which is great. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for your time. Thanks, Bradley.
Right. Cheers. These things are fantastic. I've really enjoyed them, and so make sure you pick them up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the show. We've got a lot more coming your way with some of your favorite products. But for now, keep exploring, innovating, and embracing your future. Have a great day.